Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So yes, my hair and my makeup is the same because I will have you guys know that I had actually turned off my camera and was about to break down my lights, and I'm like, you know what? You have time for another video. So here I am. I turned my camera back on. Like, I put on my sleeping sweater already. Like, I was ready to go to bed, guys. But you know what? I have time for one more video. And so I'm gonna shoot one more video. And this video is actually like really, it's way overdue, and I had been meaning to shoot this since I got this, and I didn't. I never did. So here it's long overdue, and ever since I came across this brand, it's only gotten bigger. So I figured, why not? This video is not sponsored, so I was naturally curious on my own. So there's a company named Dossier, and they are known and they boast that they create perfumes that are same or at least very similar or comparable in smell, in longevity, and just in everything. So they list names like Chanel and Baccarat 540, and like they list so many well-known sought-after perfumes, and they boast that the fragrances that they make are of comparable quality. And the catch is that it's at the fraction of a cost. So as someone who worked for Chanel, and fragrance is such a large part of Chanel's identity, so naturally, you know, while I was with the company, we were trained extensively on the fragrance and how it was made, how it's produced, the nuances and the little tweaks, and just like the care that they take into producing such high quality fragrances. And again, since I was working at Nordstrom, I was surrounded by high quality fragrances. So when I hear that there's a company that makes fragrances that are of comparable quality to the fragrances that I own at such a fraction of a cost, I had to investigate. This video is not sponsored. I actually bought this with my own money. They reached out to me afterwards for a partnership, and I let them know that I had already made my purchase, and that I will be doing a review on it. So this was purchased with my own money, and these opinions are all mine. So the one that I got, so mine, I just want to make a quick note that I had purchased this fragrance when the selections were quite limited. So at the time when I bought it, I didn't have a lot of choices, and I felt that the best one to choose was going to be Floral number 4. And this one is supposed to be comparable to Chanel's Gabrielle. Now, this came out shortly after this launched, so I was curious. So this is how the box comes. It comes in a nice sleek white box with a card. So this card tells you which fragrance that you got. There's a little thank you note. It says, "Thank you for choosing to discover new scents at Dossier.co. We took inspiration from the world's most iconic scents in order to give you the chance to experiment and discover new perfumes, all at a fair and transparent price." And yes, the price point of this is much lower than the price point of Chanel. So this is about 1/4 to 1/3 of the cost of a full 100 milliliter bottle of Chanel fragrance. So this one is Floral number 4. It's inspired by Chanel's Gabrielle, and the notes they name are mandarin, grapefruit, neroli, cassis, bergamot. The middle notes are tuberose, jasmine, orange blossom, and the base notes are sandalwood and white musk. So I have done a video on the Gabrielle fragrance when it first came out. I don't remember if I listed the notes. I might have, but I remember saying that this was inspired by all the white florals. They called it the dream flower, that if they couldn't combine all the white florals into like this wonderful, like, you know, heavenly flower, that's what's in this fragrance, and it gives it kind of like a very warm and very solar quality, and that was the inspiration behind this. So just based off of notes, there are a lot of differences. The notes that they used are different from the notes that are in the Gabrielle fragrance. It tells you how this program works. So any scent you order comes with a little sample that you can try to test before opening the 50 ml bottle. and if you don't like it, you could just return it, no questions asked. So when you open it, the card goes on top, but this is the bottle and then this is a sample. And I've used the sample quite a few times because I really wanted to give it a fair shot. I wanted to compare it throughout the entire day to see the longevity of it. So just on camera, I'm gonna go ahead and give my wrists a spritz of each. In terms of color, so Dossier, the coloration of all their fragrances look the same to me. None of them are darker or lighter. They all seem to have this very clear color to it, whereas obviously this one has more of a golden tint. So on my left wrist, it might be right to you guys, but this is my left, I will be spritzing the Dossier fragrance. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. And then on my right, I will be spritzing Gabrielle. Just gonna let that sit for a second. So fun fact, while like we're kind of letting the fragrance do its thing, I have a very sensitive nose in the sense that like, I'm like a bloodhound. So like you can spritz a fragrance in the other room and I can be like, who's wearing Mademoiselle? It's a whole thing. So I feel like in terms of fragrance differentiation, like this is my moment to shine. So right off the bat, sniff. They smell different. So there is a slight difference. I think if I wasn't comparing them side by side, I wouldn't be able to smell a difference, but this one comes off a little more floral. This one comes off a little more citrusy. And as it deepens a little bit, the notes of this one definitely come through a lot more. And I guess like you can always argue like, oh, it depends on body chemistry, but like, again, like this is my body chemistry and this is how it's reacting to two different fragrances that are supposed to be comparable. So they, again, right off the bat, the initial spritz, it smells very similar. As you let it kind of sit on your skin a little bit, this one, the floral notes come through, and then for this one, the citrus notes kind of come through, and this one is definitely stronger. This one, it is very light. It's definitely not as pungent, and I definitely feel a lot more of like the bottom notes coming through a little more. It definitely smells like it is inspired by Gabrielle, but I definitely wouldn't say that it is comparable to Gabrielle because those few notes that they didn't add do make a huge difference. Chanel really prides itself on using certain jasmines and certain tube roses and just certain florals from very specific areas so that they're able to achieve such a great fragrance. So a couple tweaks here and there will change the fragrance. And again, as I'm letting it sit, this is kind of fading a little bit while this one is still coming on strong. And so I have worn both of these throughout the entire day, and I didn't spritz my wrist with them. I spritzed the inner corner of my elbows because with my wrists, I didn't want it rubbing off. And throughout the day, my Dossier one definitely faded a lot more quickly, while my Gabrielle Chanel definitely stayed on me for much longer. The Gabrielle is definitely more full-bodied and it lasts longer. The floral scents come through a lot more and everything just works a lot more homogeneously where you're not getting separate like top, middle, base. Whereas this one, like there is kind of like a separation in notes where you're not getting, like you almost feel like something's missing with the Dossier. Like for this one, I'm not smelling the florals at all. I'm definitely just getting straight top light citrus notes and then like a spike of the base notes. So the sandalwood and all that, like I'm definitely getting that, but I'm missing out on the florals, which is what I really love about the Gabrielle. The Gabrielle is so, you know, heavy on the florals in a very good way. I feel like Dossier gave it a good try, but it's definitely not a dupe for Gabrielle. So in terms of comparability, in terms of smell and scent, with the initial spritz, yes, they are quite similar. However, as time passes and you let everything kind of develop on your body, you're going to notice a huge difference. The Dossier, it doesn't smell bad, it's very pleasant, but if you're looking to save money and to get the same Gabrielle effect through Dossier, it's not gonna happen. The Gabrielle fragrance is just amazing, and it just lingers on your skin so much longer in such a beautiful way. So in terms of price, for the price, the fragrance is actually very good. It's actually, you know, for the price point itself, the fragrance itself is very good for its price point. The quality of the fragrance in itself is quite nice. Now, if you're gonna compare it to the luxury fragrance that it's inspired by, of course, I would definitely say go ahead and opt for your luxury fragrance. Like in terms of Gabrielle and Dossier, like I would not say that Dossier was a straight dupe. Like I smelled the difference, I felt the difference, and throughout the day, like there's a huge difference because the Dossier one definitely faded away much faster, whereas the Gabrielle one, it will linger on my skin and it will linger on my clothes for days at a time. If I don't wash my jacket for a few days, like it still smells like it. Whereas for the Dossier one, you are gonna miss out on the longevity as well as just like the full experience of it. So like I said, this fragrance in itself for its price point is actually a very good fragrance. Like for how much it cost and the production quality of it, like the bottle itself is very nice. It's so sleek. It's a heavy bottle. It doesn't feel cheap at all. Just everything about it it's nice. It's very nicely made. So who would this be suitable for? So this would be great for a teenager, for example. Like if you want to gift a fragrance to a teenager where, you know, this one might be a little too mature for them, you would get them something like Dossier because it's definitely lighter. It doesn't linger as long. And because it's so light in effect, it might be suitable for those who are younger, or for those who kind of have, who want to wear perfume but are a little more sensitive. This would be a good choice again because it's quite light. There definitely is an audience for this, and I would say it's, you know, anyone who's maybe younger, like a teenager, someone who's kind of trying to get into fragrance, or someone who has a very sensitive nose. This would be a good choice. But if you're kind of debating on like, ooh, should I save a few bucks and just, you know, get the Dossier one as opposed to like Creed Aventus, like no, just go ahead and get Creed Aventus because a lot of these fragrances are expensive. And yes, of course there's a markup in pricing because, you know, this is a business, and in business they're always going to try to make a profit. I'm just being real with you guys. Like yes, there is a large markup in a lot of these luxury fragrances. However, they are luxury fragrances for a reason, and it is because of the special cocktail. Like they take a lot of good care in sourcing their ingredient, in their extraction process, in the method of mixing, in the method of combining, and what notes work together homogeneously. The best way I can compare this is if two people were to make a chocolate chip cookie, and one person, they set their butter to room temperature, they sift their flour, they set their eggs at room temperature, they go ahead and combine their eggs and their butter, and then they're dry, they don't overbeat, they drop it, they refrigerate it, and then they bake it, they pull it out right in time, and that's one cookie. And then you have another person, you know, their butter isn't quite at room temperature, they don't sift their flour. Again, it's the same recipe, but it's the little touches here and there that will really determine the end product. They're both going to be chocolate chip cookies with very similar ingredients, but one is going to be a little better because the mixing process and the care that they took and the extra steps that they took just makes one cookie a little more superior. And that's what kind of makes a luxury fragrance a little more superior, and a little more worth the money despite the markup, because of the fact that, you know, they take time to just really make sure that all of the scents work very well together and they don't fight against each other. So all in all, is buying Dossier worth it? Yes, to a certain extent. Is it comparable to a luxury fragrance, and should you substitute your luxury fragrance for Dossier? I would say no. Just a final remark. I mean, I've been sitting here filming this video for like 25 minutes, and again, floral notes coming through very strong. This one, I can barely smell the floral notes. I can barely smell anything at all. There's more strength and body to this fragrance. As opposed to the Dossier one, it's too light. I almost don't smell it anymore. Like I know in the next couple hours, like I'm not going to be smelling it anymore. because like I said, as I wore throughout the day, the Dossier one definitely disappeared on me while the Gabrielle one stayed on me all day, as Chanel fragrances usually do. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you guys in some way. Let me know if there's any questions, comments, concerns, anything that I didn't cover that you guys would just really love to know. I would love to answer your questions. But you know, go ahead and list them down in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.